Hi everybody, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs, and I am here today with a giveaway and also a little bit of a craft with me tutorial. Anyway, I have hit the 1,100 mark, which I said that was my next milestone. Instead of the weekly giveaways, we would be doing milestone giveaways, and for right now, the goal was 1,100. The next goal will be 1,200, and so that is roughly about once a week or close to it. So I thought what I would do is start with the giveaway, and then after that we'll go ahead and get to the craft with me. The craft with me really is just going to be making a cover for my next journal, and I had so many comments on my nature journal, and I want to say thank you to everyone. The comments were wonderful. Also, welcome new subscribers, and also I want to thank all my subscribers that have been with me for a very, very long time, because you guys are great. You rock, and you just really lift me up, and I really, really want to say thank you for hanging in there with me. I do want to go ahead and do this, and then we'll talk about the cover. The cover is going to be basically a combination cloth cover and then the faux leather, but this time I'm not going to do it on packaging. I'm just going to do it with not the packaging envelope that you get from Amazon, but just the packaging brown paper. We're going to use that and some material and just a file folder. So just to do it a little bit different this time. Anyway, let's get back to the giveaway. Let's do our drawing. I pulled all the comments since my last giveaway, and that's how I'm moving forward with this. So I'll be doing that between every giveaway. So everything after this will go in the next drawing. Okay, so anyway, guys, this is what I'm giving away. My craft room was just an absolute nightmare, a complete disaster. So I went through and I did a lot of kind of decluttering, and there are things that I just had too many of. No telling why. I just did. And this is part of it. I am giving away this new thing of Jubilee yarn eyelash trim, and this stuff, I mean, I use it all the time, and this is kind of an off-white. It's not white, but it's still pretty white. Honestly, this stuff is great in this color because you can dye it any color you want. I have a multitude of different colors, but I still, on occasion, end up using this to, whatever embellishment that I'm going to use, and I dye, little pieces of it all the time. So that color to me is just the best. Anyway, that's part of it. Here is a little thing of tulle, which I use a lot to back behind things. Sometimes you don't want to use gauze, you want to use something a little different, and of course I rip it and tear it and do whatever, and I also dye it. And so here's the white, you can use that. I have a little thing of jute that we all use to tie different things. I've got 3 different ribbons here that I had, for some reason I had in excess, just an excess of these. So anyway, there's the red, these are pink, and these are pink. I have, if you watched my haul video, my last thrift store haul video, I had a couple of napkins that I bought that I thought would make good journal covers. So how about those? There's that one, and then there's the red plaid one. So that is going to go in the giveaway. So that's pretty much it, guys. It's pretty much just a de-stash giveaway, and I'm going to go ahead and draw, and then we can get to the craft with me part. Okay, let me put this over here, and Gonna mix this up pretty good. Doesn't really matter. I will just pick any one. It doesn't. Okay, let's see who we have. I don't know. Kathy Housen. I hope I'm saying that right. So, Kathy Housen, you have won this stash. I will put my contact information there and just contact me with your address and I will mail it out to you. You have until, let's just say you have 1 week. So on my Friday giveaways, I gave you until Thursday, but you have 1 week from today, 7 days from today. So it'll be next Wednesday by midnight. I do not know the date, but anyway, you have 7 days from today. Okay? And I'll put the deadline in the description also. That way you know when you have to get with me. So Kathy Housen, you have won. And then our next giveaway will be 1,200 subscribers. So let's wait till we get there. And as soon as we get there, we'll have another giveaway. So hopefully that happens with about a week from now. That's about on average is what it's been getting to. So anyway, guys, let me put this aside and we will get right to it. I just had a bunch of requests to do this, and I did link I forgot at first, but I went back in and I linked my video on how we made the leather look with the packaging material, but I needed to make another cover. When I was making my last journal, I was going to do 3 signatures on it, but I knew that it would just end up getting so big, so I decided to go ahead and do it, 2 signatures. So anyway, what I thought I would do is go ahead and do the whole leather look again, since it seemed to be so popular. But this time I'm not using the actual mailing envelope. I'm just using the brown packaging material, and this is what I'm talking about. Oops, this is what you get when you, I might as well take all this down because we're going to need it anyway. This is the stuff that, when you get your package or whatever, it'll be wrapped in this brown paper, okay? And this stuff works great for that. And the difference is you're not going to have that padded feeling that you get with the packaging, which is fine. Excuse me. My allergies are just really acting up again. I'm going to use just a large folder to make my cover. You could use a regular size one because we're just going to cut it along here. So, I mean, if it's a shorter one, it won't matter. You could use a piece of paper also, but this is longer than 12 inches, and I want it a little bit bigger. I'm just going to do 1 signature, but I think I'm going to do like a 2-inch spine on it, so I want it a little bit bigger. So we're going to use that. And then I'm going to use this this ticking material that I got. This is very, very old, super old, and I want to put that on the inside of it. I thought that would be really kind of a good look, because I want this to be kind of old and grungy, and that's what I'm going for, so I think this will work really well. Okay, so first off, we're going to do the outside of it. So we're going to have to cut this, and so what I'm going to do is, first of all, let me see, I want it to be, probably right at, I think, 9 inches in height. So I'm going to mark that. Here's my pencil, so I know where to cut. let me get it. I'm going to get my big cutter out for this because it cuts double pretty well. And we'll just do that. And this thing's probably... Mark that also. Unlock it, that would help. So we're going to do that right at 9 inches. It's right on the mark. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut off this little extra, the piece on the edge, starting right there. Just cut that off. Make sure I can see that good. Okay, and so that's going to give me, I got it upside down. That's going to give me 8 1/4 inches to work with as far as the width goes. But let me move this for a second. I'm going to go ahead, I move it over here. There we go. Let's go back over here. Lock it again so it's not in the way. So that will give me, if I make it, I'm going to get my scoreboard out. I should have done all this stuff earlier, but okay. So I'm going to make it 6.5 inches on the width, because, well, maybe not 6.5. I'm going to go 6 1/4, I think. Let's see if I go 6 1/4 and then I go 6 1/4. We'll see how much. Well, I'll go ahead and go 6.5. I think 6.5 will be fine, because by the time I sew it, we'll be all right. So I'm going to go, I don't know, I might use this. 6.5. So right at the 6.5 mark, I'm going to go ahead and score it. Okay. And then I'm going to do that over here. 6.5 here. Oops, it's kind of going crooked. There we go. So, now, I just don't know if that's going to be big enough there. Well, you know what? That's going to give me too big of a... How about if I go, I'll cut another inch off and then see where that takes me. I'm just guessing, guys, because I haven't planned any of this out. I'm going to go, instead of going 9 inches, I'm going to go, 9 and 9 is 18, so 8 and 8 is 16. How about if I go, so if I wanted 2 inches, 12, 14, 15, let's do it 8 inches. Let's just do it 8 inches. And, well, that won't be enough, I don't think. Let's... I don't want to do it 6. Let's do it 7. Let's just do it 7. 7 should be about right. Alright. So I got my measurements off a little bit. Let's try that. So we're going to do it 7 inches across. And now we're going to go ahead and do this. So this is going to, we're still going to do it at 6.5, but it's going to change on here now. Maybe 6.25. Let's try 6.25. So we're going to score it at 6.25, and then we're going to score it at 6.25. I think I have glue on my stylus, so it's not gliding right. Okay, so we're not paying attention to the first score, and it won't matter in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to fold it on the one that we just did, which is the 6.25 here. Okay, and let me go ahead and do that. So that is going to give us the size spine we want. That should be about an inch. 1.5 inches. That's perfect. Okay, that's absolutely perfect. Okay, so we've got 1.5 inches here. So this is 1.5 inches. This is scored on 6 1/4, and then this is 6 1/4. Okay. So that's what your measurements are. So from here to here, your spine is 1.5 inches, and so from here, from this line, not the first line that I did wrong, to here is 6 1/4. Okay. Same thing with this. This is from here to here is 6 1/4. Okay, so now that we have that straight, this is going to be the middle, and I'm only going to add one signature to this, so that's good. But oops, that's already marked there. Okay, I didn't put that in. So let's do that, and we've got a little extra pieces here. I always save these for things later. So all right, so here's the part that everybody wants to know is how to make the leather look. Okay, so what you do is you take your paper that you're going to use, and you need to make sure that it's enough to cover this piece that you want to make look like leather. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this on and get an idea of how big, and I do it a little bigger than what I need so I can cut off the extra, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of approximate this, make it a little extra big. So that's my extra piece. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to crumple this up more than it already is. So that is super crumpled up. And I mean, just really squish it around. Get as many wrinkles in it if you want. If you want to, you can wet it a little bit. I don't usually find that you need to. And then just do that. Just really get some nice wrinkles in it, and then open it up, and that's why you make it a little bigger, because it will shrink. And you don't want don't smooth it out too much, but smooth it out enough to where it's flat, and then you can put it on there. And okay, so at this point what I do is I just take, and most of the time on this I just use Arlene's tacky glue for this. I don't use my more expensive glue, and then I'll let it dry. But because I'm doing it on video and I want it to dry quickly, I'm going to go ahead and use a combination of two glues. I'm going to use my Scotch permanent glue stick. This stuff really works. And I'm also going to use my 3-in-1 glue. Okay, I'm going to use it on the edges. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this aside. I'm going to put my glue on here, and I'm going to go ahead and, I mean, really just put it all over. And I do this really just to make sure I get glue everywhere, and then I put the other glue with it. So I don't want any bubbles on it. I want it to stick well. And I love this glue. I really do. It works extremely well. It stays sticky. It doesn't dry super quick. I mean quick, you know, like glue does. But anyway, so I'm going to do that. I think I can get it all done. Let's just see if I can do it all. Anyway, so I hope everybody's doing well. When I did my flip through, I had some people say I sounded tired, and I was. I was working on that journal all day to finish it, and I just had my son and his girlfriend come in from Colorado to visit, and we had been running around constantly, and so I was tired, but I was just very happy I got it done. Okay, so I'm making sure that I get around all the edges. Okay, that's what I'm mainly using this for, and then I will add some glue all over. So I'm going to go around all the edges. I'm going to make sure I get the spine really good. Okay, and I'm not adding any reinforcement to the spine because I'm going to be using material on the inside. I don't think I'll need it with that. If I wasn't using material, then I probably would add something to it, you know, just because it will keep it structurally, you know, in good shape. But anyway, so I'm doing this both, and I'm going to hurry up and do it before my glue dries. And so now I'm going to put this on, and just make sure you cover it. And then, like I said, you want to smooth it out, make sure it's all making contact. But you don't want to smooth out all the wrinkles completely. You don't want to take like a, you know, something to, you know, like your bone folder and smooth it to the point where all of the wrinkles are out. But you do want to make sure that all the paper is getting contact. So, okay. So we're doing that. And now I'm kind of making sure with my fingers, and as you can see, I'm kind of actually letting the wrinkles be in there and pushing it down. Make sure you get all the edges because that's important. I am going to sew around this, so that will also help, you know, get it in there, get them, you know, keep it contact. But I do want to make sure that it's all, you know, glued down, and especially you don't want bubbles in the middle. Okay, so I'm just doing this with the palm of my hand and kind of rubbing it. You don't want to take something like this, because if you do, you'll take all the wrinkles out. What I'm doing with my palm of my hand, it will actually press down, and then those wrinkles are basically glued in there in place. So, and you want wrinkles, okay? This is one time you want wrinkles, people. So there we go. So we're doing that. Now that it's all glued down, we're going to just cut around it, and anyway, the papers I'm going to use on this are basically just scrapbook pages in here, and then some coffee dyed papers. So I don't really need it to be, you know, much wider than that. It's really going to be almost like a traveler's notebook type thing, but I have something in mind for it. So and like I said, you won't see these other score lines that I did. So anyway, you can say those if you want to, but I have plenty of packing material. So anyway, so now that we've done that, this is the base of our leather look, okay? This is what's going to turn into a leather look, believe it or not. So at this point, what I do is I put ink all over it. So I ink it up. It's up to you how you want to do it. I personally like to use 2 different things on it to give it some depth. And I will use my Distress ink, Vintage Photo, and then let me get the other one out. It's not wanting to come out here. Here we go. I will also use my Walnut Stain, and just to give it a really, I want it to have a really dark look. The other thing that I use a lot of times on this is just brown shoe polish. Works really well too. You can use that. Okay, so what I'll do is I mainly use the Vintage Photo, and so I'll take that and I'll usually I use this brush thing rather than my other one, but you can use that. It'll work just as well. Anyway, so on this I pretty much are covering the whole thing. So I'm just kind of going in there and I'm just doing this and going in circles, and I'm just trying to get it everywhere, okay? And it will hit the cracks, and it will you know, make some of those darker, and that's a good thing. And so I do that. And really, the more inks that you use on it, I think the more depth it has. So if you have some other colors, which I may add a few others on here, it just really depends on how it looks when you're done. But you just keep, I need to get a little bit more ink on there. I maybe should have re-inked that, but I think it's doing okay. But you can see, like in some spots it's really picking up the ink and then it's hitting the lines, and you want it to do that, and you really want to go in there and just give it the you know, the treatment there. Just kind of go all over, because this is what's gonna make it look like leather. And then also I do some beeswax on top, so that will help. I don't know, the beeswax gives it a very interesting finish too, and I think it adds to it, but you don't have to do that. You can do it without it. And you know, the other thing too is that if you don't want to make a whole cover out of this, if you just wanted to do, you know, portions of, like, make some of this up, like for instance, you could just make this and hold it and then maybe cut it out and use it on a spine, or use it in the middle of a you know, on the cover, you know, with something. You could do that too. And then, but it looks pretty leather-like when you get done. And of course it's lightweight, so it's not. Put this on here, and you can see it already just magically kind of changing color, and you're picking up the ink with the cracks. So see, there's the side we did, there's the one we didn't. It looks really neat so far. Anyway, you just kind of do that. Alright, so that's kind of our first layer. So we've done that, and you can see already the difference in how it looks. Okay, and there's a few spots I think I could hit a little bit more, so I'll put more ink on there and then just kind of go in there and make it a little bit darker. And now the thing is, when I use the beeswax on this, it will actually make it look a lot darker, so I know that going in. Okay, so I keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm done that, and now I'm going to take my darker color, and this I'm going to kind of just hit it in spots, and I'm mainly trying to get the cracks and things. So I'm going to just kind of go over this lightly with the darker color, and you can see how the cracks are just kind of picking up that darker stain, because it's, you know, it's quite a bit darker, and I don't want to just do the whole thing with it, but I do want those cracks to show when we're all done. And I'm probably going to hit it a little bit more on the edges to make it look a little bit more worn there. Okay, because that's how it would probably wear. And of course, like I said, I'm going to hit the cracks with this and make sure it gets in all of the little spots so you can see them, and it's going to pronounce them a little bit more. So, and that's what we want. Okay. And like I said, you don't have to use these two particular colors. You can use whatever you want, whatever you have on hand. And whatever, like I said, brown shoe polish is the first time I did it, that's what I used. And then I think I used a little bit of vintage photo to kind of go over it a little too. But the big thing I think is you need to have some contrasting color in there, because that gives it the I don't know, the worn, aged effect. So you don't want two you know, exact same looking things on there. And if you can see, I've got a few spots in there. I'm going to go a little bit more on the edge there, a little bit more on this edge, and get a little in the middle. So you do want the darker, you know, color on the cracks mainly, and not covering it. So I always start out from light to dark. That's how I do it. Okay. So, like I said, it looks pretty cool at this point, just as it is. You don't have to do the you don't have to do the beeswax if you don't want to, but I like the feel and the look it gets after you do that. So anyway, this is how it looks already, which to me looks pretty cool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put the beeswax on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera for a minute and get everything set up to do that, and then we will go right to that. Okay, so hang in there. Okay, so we're back and we're ready to do the beeswax. You want to do this before you sew your fabric on, because it will bleed through and it'll get through on the fabric, and then the beeswax will show. And so you want to make sure you do it when it's at this stage. Okay, so I have beeswax and I ordered pellets, which I think would probably be a lot easier to use. But this is what I have. These are the bars, and I've used this and I've shown this different times on my channel, but the pellets did not come. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. This is just a, let me see if I have a full one in there so I can show you what they look like. I don't know. Well, they're closer to this when they start out. This is one that's already been used, but it doesn't matter. But anyway, it's pretty easy to do. I use this, and then I use my heat gun. I don't think a blow dryer or something would get hot enough. A lot of people use an iron. I find this pretty easy, so you know, you can try it either way. If you use an iron, I think it'd be a lot easier if you had the pellets and then you just iron it and melt it, which I was going to do, but like I said, the little pellets didn't come. So I don't know what the holdup is with that. But anyway, this is how I do it. And I also, like, I have a wipe here that I just used. I'm going to use that. I don't really like to use paper towel because it leaves lint and it kind of sticks. I like something like a cloth, and this, it doesn't really shred or shed or anything. So I'm going to try that. I just use that to push around the wax. Surprisingly enough, the wax does not get that hot, but the heat gun does, so you have to be careful with that. So I just basically, you gotta let your heat gun get hot. So all I do is just get wax on it at first, and that takes a little doing. So I just take that and kind of let the wax melt all the way across it. I'm not really worried about where it goes and making sure it's everywhere, just getting kind of blobs everywhere. And then I'll come back in later and make sure it's all even everywhere. So I'm just melting the wax right now is all I'm doing. I just kind of go back and forth, going all the way down, making sure I get wax everywhere. You know, as much as I can, just making some puddles. And I work about on half of my cover at a time. Okay. And so now now that I've got some wax on there, I'm just kind of moving it around. And you just kind of move it around, because the wax, you can reheat it very easily, and as you can see, you can see what's wet and what's not, and this stuff dries really quick, super quick, and it does not dry sticky. I think a lot of people think that. So this probably did not get enough over here, so. And you just kind of, and I'm doing it on my glass mat simply because, it will kind of make a bit of a mess. So, not a huge mess, and super easy to clean up. So as you can see, as my stick is melting, I'm just kind of using it to kind of, basically go across the mat. Go across it. I'm going to go ahead and hold it with this hand and use my right hand. Be a lot easier since I'm right-handed. So I'm just kind of melting and smishing it around, and because you have the cracks too, you've got to kind of get it in there. And don't worry if you miss any spots, you can definitely go back in. It's not that difficult to do. And I'm just going to keep up this process. And the beeswax gives it just a different texture. Like I said, you don't have to do this part of it. But not only that, what it does do is it kind of seals it, and it gives it, some sort of protection rather than being just paper, which to me is a good thing to do on any cover. And I love doing the beeswax just in general on. It gives it kind of an antique-y feel and look to it, and it lightly tints it. So I don't know. There's a lot of pluses to it. And like I said, it does not get, I'm trying to melt these pieces right here a little bit. It doesn't get sticky. You would think that it would be sticky, and it just doesn't. It's very, very dry, and it doesn't melt afterwards either, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, I don't know if you left it in, 100-degree car or something, if it would melt a little, but you're not putting that much on there, so it's not gonna get that heated more over here. It's not going to be, you know, wax melting all over the place. Now, I don't know if whether you could use like a regular candle. I have never tried that. I had somebody ask me that, and if y'all know that, just leave it in the comments or something. I would imagine that you can. You could use like a white candle or a tinted candle or something, you know. I don't know. And I don't know how it would melt, or, you know. And beeswax has an interesting, it's just a special smell, not necessarily fragrant, but it's kind of a cool smell to it. That's another thing too, is you don't want to hold your heat gun too close to your paper because it can catch it on fire, so just be careful with that. I'm going to let this kind of drip a little bit more. The reason I let it drip a little bit before I go and do this is that it's easier to rub the beeswax across. Once you've got a little bit on there, it kind of glides easier. So that's the reason I do that. See, while I'm putting these little drips on there, it just kind of glides a little bit easier. And you can see if you missed a spot because it'll be a completely different kind of color to it. So, like I said, not a big deal if you did. You go back in. If you've added too much, you go and melt it and you spread it around. And that's what you'll see in a minute what I do with my piece of the baby white. So you can see how quickly this melts. So it's not like a long process. It gets done pretty easily, and it's not overly messy, and it really does give it I don't know, just a completely different look than just the paper. I don't know if you could achieve the same look with like a matte medium or Mod Podge or something, because it really is a different look, and it's a different feel too. So now I'm gonna get my pellets, and when I try that, I'll let you know what I think is easier. I mean, I've seen people use the pellets and then just take a iron and go right over it, and it works just fine. But this is not hard to do, guys. It really isn't. And I bought this pack, gosh, probably over a year ago, and I've used it. I've gotten a lot of partial bricks on these because I used part of it, and then the only problem I have to say on this is though once it starts getting real low and you're holding your heat gun there, that it's hot. So, but on the same token, you probably could carve it up and just melt it with your iron. So what I'm doing now is I'm going over the spots that look like I may have put too much, but before I wipe any off, I do this because what happens is the paper absorbs it, and so I don't really know that there's too much until I kind of do that and then see what's left over. Like here, I don't think I put enough, so I'm going to go back in and melt a little bit more and make sure that I get it everywhere. So there we go. And you can kind of tell that by looking at the paper. And now I'm going to kind of hold it up a little so it kind of moves around. Make sure I get any excess off. But honestly, I don't really wipe it off until I kind of see what doesn't absorb. If there's too much. If you see puddles of wax, just hit it with your heat gun and do that. And if you still see too much, you can take your wipe or whatever and just kind of wipe it off. It comes off pretty easily. And just do that wherever you see too much. Like it looks like I have too much over here. So I'm going to heat it up a little bit and I'm going to take some of it off. And that's what will happen. And I just do that a little bit, and then that helps. So I have a little bit too much right here. And you can kind of tell because it'll look kind of white and milky. And so you just do that. I got a little bit too much on the end right here. So I'm just going to wipe that a little bit. Okay. So, and I will take this and kind of go over it like this a little bit. You got to realize it does dry super, super quick. So go over it a little bit. And then just maybe take this and wipe off any excess that you have. Okay? And that not only does it wipe off the extras, it rubs it in, which kind of helps. But you have to do it in small sections because it dries super, super fast. So that way you don't have any little white spots. Okay, so let's do the other side like that. We'll just go over it a little bit, just in sections. So we reheated it. Alright, and then we're just, like here I'm seeing a little bit more than I want to see. So then I will take this and just kind of go over this. And it will get that excess off of there, plus rub in what's already there. So you see those little spots right there. I'm just going to take this and go like that. And that will get it. Heat this up a little. Okay, I think we're done. I think, oh, well, there's one spot right here. Okay, and what that does is that takes off all the extra that you have, and this is how it looks when it's done, guys. And it has a really cool texture to it. If you want it darker, or you want it a little bit more, you know, blotchy or whatever, you can add more ink to it still. I mean, it'll still take the ink. It's a little harder once you wax it to do that, but, you know, I don't know. I like the way it looks right now for my purposes and what I'm going to use it for. But, you know, you can make it any color you want. Like I'm going to show you here. You can add ink to it if you want to still. So let's see. So if you wanted to add like a little bit more on top of that and just make it a little bit richer and darker, you can. All right, it's still going to work. I'll do a little bit more here. It just depends on what you want. So you can see that side has a little bit more color to it. Go a little bit more in here maybe. And this is really just a fun process. It's not hard. I was hoping to get the pellet so I could try that and then also tell you which one I think is easier, but also too, just, you know, do it. I use the heat gun thing because I didn't have a craft iron and I thought you had to have one, and then I've seen other people not use a craft iron, just a extra iron that they have, which I do have one. But so that's how I got around to using it. So okay, so anyway, that's inked up a little extra. I put a little bit more on the edge there. I think it needs a little bit more. Okay. So I think that is done as far as that part of it goes. I think that works. So you can see how that makes a very neat leather look. At this point, you would do whatever it is you're going to do that you would normally do to a journal. I think what I'm going to do is add the material to it, and then we'll just do that. And then I was going to, and I think I might still do that. I got this in a haul video, and this is some batting, and I thought it was felt, and one of my subscribers corrected me, and I think I may glue this down just to give it a little bit more cushioning in here because I want it to be kind of squishy. So let's see how many. I'll probably take about 4 of these. And I'm just going to glue it down, and then of course it will be sewn with the material. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it, trim it. So I'm going to put it on and then trim it, and I'm just going to use my 3-in-1 glue. So I'm going to do that and just kind of put it all the way around the edges. And I'm only doing this because I didn't add any other batting or anything. And I normally don't do this, but I just thought, well, I have it, so I might as well try it to see how it turns out. Get this. I'm only doing half of it right now, so my glue doesn't dry. I'm trying to get it all along the edges and along the spine because I don't want anything lifting up. And get this kind of in the middle. And go back and forth. I'm getting a blob there. Alright, let's see if that's enough. I have another one here that's almost empty. I should use that. I have like several of them going here, which is really bad. Really, really bad. Well, this isn't coming out. So I won't use that one. How about I use this to kind of spread it a little bit more. Right? I do this. I like spreading it just so that I know that there's not going to be any loose spots in there. Okay. So I'm going to do half of this and then go back and do the other half. So I'm just going to kind of, maybe so I won't have to cut it so much, get it on the corner. Right? Oh, I didn't do that exactly right, so. Okay, and then here's the next one. And get it over there. Right? Okay. There we go, and that was half of it. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect because, it's on the inside. And then let me get another one that's maybe might come out a little bit easier. We shall see. It is slow to come out here. I just don't want to start. What I do is every time it starts getting hard to come out, I open up another one, and then I have like I have right now, I have 3 of them going at the same time, and I really just need to use them. But all right, so we're going to make sure that we get it on there good. All right, let's hope that's enough. I kind of smushed that around. I think this should have gone down a little bit more, but that's okay. It won't matter that much. If you're wondering, this little thing I got from the dollar store, and it's supposed to be to put a, a cosmetic mask on, or a facial mask or whatever, and I don't use it for that. I use it for this, and I love it because it cleans off real easily, even when the glue's dried later. It just kind of breaks off, really, and it works great. So I'm going to put that on there, and then we're going to have a partial piece down here, so we'll put that on. Okay. Now, I always use either fabric tack or 3-in-1 glue whenever I'm doing any kind of fabric. But I have used the tacky glue before, and it worked fine. It just takes longer to dry. And so when I'm on camera, I just don't, when I'm videoing, I just go ahead and use the, this glue. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down so we can add our next layer. Get it as close as I can to this, and I can always trim it when we're all done, but Okay, so put those aside. And all this is going to do is add a little extra squishiness to the whole thing, if that's a word, which I like. Okay, so that's it there. Right? So now I have this really old batting, and it's a pillowcase, and I'll tell you, I got it online, and I know the reason it sold so cheap, because this is from the 1800s, is that because it is so torn up, you know, other people didn't want it. But that's the one thing when you're buying stuff for junk journals, like my quilt I bought. Oops, sorry, I hit the camera there, I think. Let me make sure everything is still in frame. Yeah, I think we're still good. Okay. When you're buying stuff for junk journaling, you don't have to worry that it's in perfect shape because you're going to cut it up anyway, right? So you can get some deals, you know. The quilt I bought, that big queen size quilt, and it is old. I got, you know, for, I think it was $10, 50% off, so I got it for $5. And, you know, I'm sure the reason it went so cheap is the fact that it was just, you know, torn up. But there's plenty of good enough pieces all over to use on that thing, and you don't have to, you know, you don't have to have a perfect piece. But that's just something to look at when you're, let me put the top on that while it's bubbling out. That's just something to think about. Okay, let me see how wide this, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Anyway, I got a few pieces of this, and I really love it. I love the worn look to it. I love the imperfections, so I don't know. I'm using it on a lining, but okay. Now, here's the thing. If I'm going to put a pocket and sew a pocket in here, then this is when I would want to do it. I don't know. I don't think I want a sewn pocket on this. I really don't. So, let me think. I think I'm going to just do this. Boy, this is going to be fun trying to get this on there straight, right? Without the lines being really messed up when this is so... Maybe I'll just cut on one of these lines. That might work. Let me try that. All right. And then how far up? Okay, so it's going to go about right here. Let me put that on there and make sure. Right here. I'm going to cut it a little bigger. So maybe on this line. And then I'll come back and cut it after I get it on there. Okay, and then I think what I might do is I might go ahead and put pockets on. Why not? So I could put one. So let's see, it's going to be folded here. So I would put one maybe right here, and then maybe right here. All right, well, let me go ahead and stop and see where we're at, and then if we have time, we'll go ahead and do all that. If not, I'll go ahead and start and do this and then show you where we're at, and we'll finish it. Okay, guys, so hang on a minute. Okay, so I went ahead and decided to go ahead and do some pockets. So I sewed the pockets on, and they're just done with a little zigzag stitch. And then after I did that, I went ahead and sewed on the cover. Now I did go ahead and put glue on it and let it dry before I sewed it on. just as a kind of a backup, because you don't want this floating, you know, on top of there, so it keeps it from doing that. So anyway, guys, that is our leather look cover. So that kind of helps people get an idea of what you can do, and I think it turned out really well, and it looks very leathery, and there's a lot of applications you could use for that. I am going to be doing more to this cover, but anyway, this is just an idea for anybody who wants to do that. And I will go ahead and link my other tutorial out there if you want to see it, but it's basically the same steps. It used a packaging envelope instead of just the file folder, but this has a squishy feel to it too. You know, and you can use any batting. I mean, I just had this because I bought it, you know, at a thrift store, and I got a big bag of it. So it worked really well. It's going to be nice and squishy journal. I love them that way. I do hard ones too, but for some reason, I just like how they feel, and they're very sturdy. So in any case, guys, that's it. It does give it a great leather look. The wax seals it, so you know it is you know, somewhat sealed. You know, I wouldn't leave it in the rain or anything, but it is somewhat sealed from stains and water and whatever. It does give it a really nice feel, and you know, it's not that hard to do. It's really very easy to do. So anyway, I did sew around it, and then after I did, I inked around it to kind of make it look a little more rustic. I'll probably do more, you know, to the inside. I may add some lace or something. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do to this, so, but I do like the worn look of the this material. So that's it, guys. That's all I have for you, and I will be back again on Friday with another video. So I will see you, and then take care, and hope to see you then. And if you like the video, you know, please comment and subscribe. Thank you.